The 2026 Spanish AP Language and Culture free response questions have just publicly been released by College Board, so you know we got to get into it. Let's look at these questions and just see how you would do against these questions. First, know that this is the second half of the exam, the free response. The first half was the multiple choice. On this half, we have 4 tasks, 2 writings and 2 speakings. The first 2 writings are interpersonal and presentational, and the 2 speakings are also interpersonal and presentational. So in front of us is the first one, the interpersonal writing, the email reply. Now what's interesting about this is you only have 15 minutes to both read this email and write your response to it utilizing the formal usted register. Let's read this introduction. It says, este mensaje electrónico es de Juliana Valenzuela, la directora de la Biblioteca Municipal de tu comunidad. Has recibido este mensaje porque la biblioteca está planeando una renovación y aceptaste dar tu opinión. So what this means is you've received this email from this director of a library in your community, and this director is planning a renovation to this library, and you've already accepted to give your opinion to her. Now, in order to get the full credit, the highest credit possible, you have to answer both of these 2 questions here. Look at the first one. ¿Qué función cree que debe tener la biblioteca en el mundo de hoy? The next. ¿Qué tecnología u otros recursos deberían estar disponibles en la biblioteca y por qué? Answering those 2 questions with full detail, elaboration, with Spanish that is sophisticated and not basic is going to be the key for getting the highest score possible, in addition to staying in the usted formal register. Task 2 is the argumentative essay. And what's interesting about this is you have 55 minutes to write an argumentative essay, argue your opinion about a controversial topic. What makes this so challenging is that you don't have the full 55 minutes. 15 minutes of that will be consumed by you listening and reading to 3 different sources. Those sources you have to integrate into your argument in a paragraph style form. Here's the question. ¿Se debe eliminar la tarea escolar? Should school homework be eliminated? How would you answer that? Task 3, which is rarely anyone's favorite, is the conversation. And no, you're not conversing with a real person. You're conversing with essentially a computer here. And what's interesting about this is you'll get 5 questions and you have exactly 20 seconds to respond to it immediately after the question is asked. And yes, you will get cut off with a beep. You only have 1 minute to preview this outline here. And this area here where it says 2, that is you. You have to follow that instruction in order to meet the requirement College Board has laid out. So pay attention to things like here, where it says, responde y explica tu preferencia. You have to respond and you have to explain your preference. Or look at how it ends here, pide más información. You have to ask for more information to meet the minimum requirement. This conversation is quite interesting. Take a look at it here. It says, esta es una conversación con Benjamín, el coordinador de actividades voluntarias de un refugio para animales. Vas a participar en esa conversación porque quieres colaborar con las actividades de refugio durante el verano. So you are basically having a conversation with Benjamin, who is a coordinator for activities at this animal shelter. You're basically going to have this conversation because you want to collaborate with the activities that the shelter is having. And last but not least, we have the cultural comparison. This is actually personally my favorite part. This is where test takers get to flex their cultural muscle by comparing something to a community in the Spanish-speaking world as it relates to the topic that's presented. Now, the important thing is that test takers do this in a presentational, professional, formal way, having a beginning, middle, and end, making sure that you're comparing both communities that they choose in a very, very formal way. The similarities and the differences, utilizing a variety of sentence types and sophisticated grammar. Look at this question here. It says, ¿Qué rol tienen los hábitos que promueven la salud? What roles do habits that promote health, for example, por ejemplo, hacer ejercicio, comer sano, dormir bien, for example, doing exercise, eating well, sleeping well. What do those things have? What's the role of those things in a community in the Spanish-speaking world that you're familiar with? So in order to do well here, a test taker would really need to describe why those things are important in daily life in a Spanish-speaking community and compare that with another community. Overall, I was pretty happy with this test and the test types. Conversation was a little bit awkward, but if you took the test, how do you think you did? And if you don't take AP Spanish, how do you think you would perform with your Spanish ability right now? And that's YT Spanish.